It's your buddy Sid Rosenberg, and yeah, I'm famous. But guess what? So is my guy Mike. I love him. And his son Michael at Genesis of Brooklyn. This is not your typical dealership. Trust me, I've been there. It's a gorgeous place. The service, legendary. Brooklyn family values, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Free valet pickup up to 25 miles. Current year Genesis loaners. 3 years of maintenance included. Transparent, efficient, respectful. The best luxury service around. Genesis of Brooklyn. These are my guys. Mike and Mike, more luxury, less money.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This story, a huge deal out here in L.A. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court now clearing the way for roaming immigration sweeps here in L.A. to resume once again, at least for now. That coming after lower courts first blocked the administration from carrying out these raids back in July, saying they were discriminatory.
You say this is a big change. Senior national correspondent William Lajeunesse is topping off this hour with this breaking news for us out of L.A. What do we know, William?
Well, Sandra, it's an important ruling in that a district judge and an appeals court had effectively stopped immigration enforcement in Southern California. And we expected it to effectively become a nationwide ban as other judges in other cities would cite this ruling to stop ICE actions in their jurisdictions. So it was a Biden-appointed judge in July issued a restraining order stopping ICE from stopping individuals with just reasonable suspicion that they're in the U.S. illegally. It barred officials from relying on certain factors like race or being outside a Home Depot looking for day labor. Well, the Ninth Circuit upheld that ruling, prompting the administration to go to the Supreme Court, arguing that the ruling restricted ICE's ability to enforce the law passed by Congress that says you can't cross the border illegally to live and work in the U.S. We're talking 10 to 20 million people. Stopping even routine operations like hitting employers with reasonable cause to believe that they employed large numbers of illegal workers. So Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote in his concurring opinion that race or ethnicity alone cannot be a reason to stop someone, but it can be considered along with other factors informing reasonable suspicion to stop someone for illegal immigration checks, such as where people gather and what jobs they are working in.
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you know, liberals' heads are already exploding, and were exploding because Donald Trump reposted a meme involving him. And the quote in there, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning," which, of course, a riff off of the Apocalypse Now line. "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." Ladies and gentlemen, what a Monday it is. Welcome to the fastest hour in American media. Bo Snerdley, James Golden. It is Rush Hour, and I am glad you are here. So, you've got that. Immigration is dominating some of the news today. There are other stories out here. Of course, that's the big one, the 6-3 decision. Justice Sotomayor is perturbed about this one. She's perturbed about a lot of the decisions that roll. I understand from reading very briefly her dissent, her protests circled around. They didn't really explain the ruling. Well, they don't have to. Okay, and that's, as you know, I read last week from a big article by NBC. They got a bunch of judges in the lower courts to go on the record anonymously. And one of the big complaints was the Supreme Court isn't explaining why they're making these decisions. So, again, that was echoed after the decision today by Justice Sotomayor that they haven't really explained it. The High Court 6-3 decision issued along ideological lines, but Kavanaugh did explain it. You heard Kavanaugh's explanation. He's explained enough for me. So the case is proceeding to the U.S. Appeals. The full Ninth Circuit will hear the court. In the meantime, let's get more ICE in California. And then that meme. And, you know, Mr. Mike sent me a picture. He sent me the one where they had that Philadelphia, that game where that Karen took the baseball from, that one that went viral. Yeah. And it looked to me, and I realized it was somebody had AI'd the thing, and it looked like Elizabeth Warren in it. It was quite funny. But there is so much that's happening on social media in this country every day, of course. But there was that tragic case that took place in Charlotte, and now liberals are complaining because of some of the quote-unquote racist things that are being said on platforms about this killer who was released 14 times. This is in Charlotte, North Carolina. You saw that. It's terrible. Donald Trump talked about that today. Cut one. And also, let's see, let's do Harris Faulkner first, because Harris Faulkner covered it very well for those people that may not be familiar with what we're talking about. Let's do cut two first, and then Donald Trump.
Shocking surveillance video shows a Ukrainian refugee brutally stabbed to death on a city train last month. There's no way she sees this coming. You see the people on the other side of the train are focused on their phones or looking away. He takes that moment and he kills her. It happened just before 10 p.m. on Friday, August 22nd. 23-year-old Irina Zarutsky got on that train, and minutes later, an alleged homeless ex-convict with more than a dozen arrests stabbed her, killed her. It happened so fast that other passengers really didn't notice until it was too late. And the suspect then walks to the other end of the car, blood dripping both from the knife in his hand and his bloody footprints, and kind of stands and he waits to see if he can get off that train. And then he starts walking around the other members of the people inside that locked car. He's near them. Lord only knows what he could have done. Finally, he got off at the next stop. Police identified 35-year-old DeCarlos Brown as that suspect. He has a lengthy criminal history, are we shocked, including 14 arrests on charges like armed robbery, assault, and making threats.
14 arrests. And, okay, there was another incident in Alabama. But what do they have in common? It was this one was another white lady that was killed by another black perpetrator. And people are making racial remarks about it because. I mean, this stuff, you know, and this guy, all these multiple arrests, the Alabama situation I'll have to get more on. It's another one of these just horrible stories. And then you keep looking. You know what? If you're going to get upset because the perpetrators are black, then maybe it's time to talk about black perpetrators and crime. Maybe it's time to have that conversation. All right? You don't want people, Brian Stelter went off on, oh, it's so racist, all the racist things being said on social media about it. But maybe we need to have a discussion about the crime. Look, this is long overdue. I have been saying for years, and I'm not saying this because I have a big ego investment, and I've been saying it, but there has to be an acknowledgement about what is happening in cities all around this country. There has to be an acknowledgement about, and no, black people aren't the only ones committing crimes. That's stupid to think so. Of course they're not. Black people aren't the only ones committing heinous crimes. There are heinous crimes being committed every single day. But this has been a long established fact that people on the left do not want to acknowledge. As a proportion of the population, there is a disproportionality of the number of crimes committed by especially young black men. Sorry, that's what's up. And then when you have further a culture that's geared around this criminal behavior that either pacifies, says, okay, let's ignore it, let's not talk about it, let's not talk about the facts. If you have a society that allows it to happen, and then when people are punished, and this goes to all, I saw a story this weekend about some guy, this happened to be a white guy, by the way, who was a serial murderer out in California. Big feature story about him. At first, they thought he had only killed 10 women. Turns out the guy's admitted to one of his jail buddies or something. He committed 26 murders against women. Was on death row. You know what happened to him? Same thing that happens to a lot of criminals. Gavin Newsom, the guy that wants to be president, unilaterally decided, we don't want to kill anybody. We don't want to go through and keep the verdicts that juries came to on the worst of the worst of the worst criminals, murderers, rapists, serial murderers. So he commuted all of their sentences, gave them a pass. That's the guy that wants to become president of the United States, Gavin Newsom. Commuted, so the taxpayers now have to take care of these guys for the rest of their lives, including all these serial murders and everything else, after a jury already decided, nope, you forfeited your life because of the heinous nature of your crime. Every city in America, every blue city, there's a crime problem. Nobody wants, and in front of these, why does race come up? Because in these cities, there is always, usually, most of the time, a disproportionate number of, or a substantial number of minorities. And in those cities, there is a disproportionate number of crimes being committed by a certain class within those communities. You don't want the racist remarks on X or on Facebook or anywhere else these stories are posted. Then for goodness sakes, let's finally deal with changing the culture. Because there has to be a change at some point. How bad is the culture? Cut 14. You know Trump's going into Chicago. We got to take a break soon. I want to be on time because I don't want to. But let's just play this one. We couldn't play all of it because every other word was either the N-word, the Y-ins, or some other profanity. So you have to use your imagination as to where the N-word pops in, the Y-ins, among all the rest. It's only 37 seconds. I bet you half of it is profanities. But this is the attitude from one of the brothers that about, oh, by the way, TJ, Carlos said to tell you, screw you, you lost. San Diego, whatever, charges did something. I don't know what they did. Anyway, this is what happened in, Chicago. This is the reaction.
Do not send the National Guards to Chicago, gang. Do not, I repeat, do not do it. We are a different breed out here, nigga. We are not Los Angeles. We are not Washington, D.C. This is Chicago. Them niggas go fight back. I'm telling you, them niggas go fight back, gang. Whatever. I don't give a what you talking about. Them young switches, gang. They not going for it, bro. I know a bunch of y'all finna say, oh, it's the National Guard. They can't do anything about it. They must go in Chicago. Do y'all know that it's more bad people than good people, bro? There are over 100,000 gangs in Chicago by the city by itself, gang.
Now, I don't know where he gets his numbers, but 100,000 gangs in Chicago? Right.
2-man gangs?
Yeah, how many? Two? I don't know about that. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media. Don't go away. Keep it right here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
What law enforcement agency are you with, dude? What law enforcement agency are you with? You are required to tell me. Where are you?
You are required to tell me.
Where are you? Just ask you a question. Give me a question. Where are you taking a civilian investigation without identifying a police officer?
You are kidnapping them. Tell us where you're taking them. Tell us where you're taking them. Tell us where you are taking them. You cannot do this. Tell us where. Hey.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
Tell us where you're taking them. You're required to tell me. You're required to tell me. How you're kidnapping.
Folks, that's Chicago. It has begun in Chicago. And so you had the Chicago Karen squad out. And there have only just been a few arrests. They're still, from what I understand, mobilizing big, but the Karen squad is already out in Chicago. And of course, you have Pritzker, you have the rest of them. Let's see if I know we have a short Pritzker one that we can squeeze in here. Cut 8. Let's just do cut 8 really quickly.
Well, you're hearing a lot of pushback, Chris, a lot of fear and even some anger. If you talk about what we just saw here, it was another, you mentioned, third day of protests against the threat of sending more ICE agents or more federal agents for that increased immigration operations here in Chicago and the threat of National Guard. But you're also hearing that pushback from Chicago's political leaders. Mayor Brandon Johnson saying the meme that you were just talking about was beneath the dignity of the president. You had J.B. Pritzker, the governor, saying that this is something that should be taken seriously, saying that the president is threatening war on a major American city. And at issue here, Chris, is not just the opposition to those increased ICE operations that are likely to come, that the governor has been warning that
that's
he's
enough.
hearing,
That's enough.
Is
yeah,
going
Pritzker
to
says, and by the way, when we get back from our next profit center here, we will Senator Tammy Duckworth out of Illinois. This whole theme, Trump is declaring war. He's declaring war on an American city. We're going to talk about that. That case I was talking about in Alabama, it's still breaking out. She was a veterinary professor, stabbed to death while walking her dog in a park by another one of these crazed criminals. 2020 on this day, Ronald Bell, Kool and the Gang, composer, singer, songwriter, arranger, producer, saxophonist, co-founder of Kool and the Gang, passed away. He was only 68 years old. He produced so many of Kool and the Gang's big hits, wrote them too, including this one of my favorites, Summer Madness. He said his favorite was Celebration. He wrote it after picking up a Bible in a hotel room. James Golden, Snerdley, don't go away. Fastest Hour in Media continues.
The Rush Hour with James Golden
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rush Hour with James Golden, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Cashless bail, and you try and reason with people like in Chicago with the governor and the mayor. You try and reason with them, and it's like you're talking to a wall. It's just doesn't. I assume it's just a political ideology. They're not stupid people. Must be an ideology that's just buried in their head, and you can't do a damn thing about it. And we'd love to go into Chicago and straighten it out. You know, Washington, D.C., you'll be happy to know, is a free and safe zone. It's so safe right now. It was one of the most dangerous. Can you believe it? So, you know, you see the beautiful buildings, but we're going to also do an upgrade because a lot of the beautiful buildings have a little graffiti on them. They have roads that aren't proper. They have medians that are bad and falling down into the road, the dividers. We have things that we have to take care of and beautify. We want to beautify it. Very little work will be done. I'm very good at that. That's what I really did the best in life, probably. I said, was I a better builder or politician? They said, I think you were a better builder, sir. I said, I didn't know if I was happy about that or not. But
Yes, indeed. President Trump, earlier this morning, James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media. This case in Alabama, a woman stabbed, walking her dog. Family woman, she's 59 years old, retired professor at Auburn University, stabbed to death over the weekend, just walking her dog in a park there. College of Veterinary Medicine professor emerita Julie Gard Chanel, PhD, DVM, killed on Saturday in Auburn, Alabama. Cherished educator. For walking her dog. And this guy they arrested, some 28-year-old guy, Harold Rashad Dabney, who is alleged to be the person that fatally stabbed her. This other woman was stabbed too. Robbery. He stole her F-150 truck. And who knows what else. And you see, look, folks, I the news. I live in it so much. And the number of things we don't report because we could just spend all day going through these senseless murders. If you aggregated them from across every city, small towns, large cities in America, we literally could spend every show focused on crime and the crime that happens, which is why what Trump is doing is resonating so much. Yet, you have guys like Brian Seltzer. Maybe I'll play the post tomorrow. I didn't even bother sending it in. It was almost as if he was complaining that the story trickled up. It started really gaining traction, this horrible story in Charlotte, on social media, and then Trump's allies, people like Charlie Kirk, people like Elon Musk, reposted it. And then there's an outpouring of all these racial comments surrounding it that are just terrible, terrible, terrible. And then Trump was asked about it, but he said last night, I didn't know too much about it, but today he was briefed on it, and that's when Donald Trump delivered the remarks. But isn't it terrible, all the racist remarks that are being made on social media? You know what's really terrible? What's really terrible are all the murders that are happening, that people are posting the pictures and saying things about the murderers, and so many of them are black. That's what's really terrible, is that so many of these murders are being committed. What's really terrible is that these crimes are being committed. What's really terrible is that this woman in Alabama, walking her dog, had her life snuffed out by yet another one of these young thug criminals. What's really terrible is this poor Ukrainian lady just minding her business on this chain gets chopped up on a train. What's really terrible is if you go to New York and remember all the incidents that were happening there on the trains. What's really terrible is what happens in Chicago every weekend. 8 dead, 50 some odd shot. This is the weekend before. 7 dead. Double-digit shoot every weekend. What's really terrible is if you go to New York, if you go to Philadelphia, if you go to Boston, if you go to Dallas, if you go to Houston, if you go to Philadelphia, if you go to LA, if you go to San Diego, if you go to any big city the Democrats run, you have to wonder whether you're going to walk out alive. That's what's really terrible. Are some of the remarks that I see on social media racist? Hell yeah, some of them are really racist. But you know what? What I see more is this silence, this deafening silence from so-called elders in the black communities around the nation that are not speaking out about this immorality that has now run rampant in every single one of these cities. It's disgusting. And it's not just the poor. I have a story. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's a story about what's going on in Encino. Now, you know who used to live in Encino, California? Before he moved, I'll give the hint, before he moved to the Neverland Ranch. He had a big place in Encino, California. I've been to Encino. I've been to a friend of mine, a very well-known musician. I will not mention his name. I hung out with him one day at his place in Encino, California. Beautiful. But I got a story in somewhere about, in all the collection of news that I have, about what's going on in Encino. Here it is. Residents in exclusive enclave demand Democrat mayor act on crime surge. Rob Golshun, president of Encino Property Owners Association, says he wants to see Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass do more to address crime. Residents in a ritzy area of Los Angeles getting frustrated with local leaders such as Democrat Mayor Karen Bass over a recent rise in crime. One resident said people in the community are on edge. The call for increased security in the Encino neighborhood of Los Angeles comes after longtime American Idol music producer Robin Kay and her husband, Thomas DeLuca, were found deaded inside their home on July 14th. Police believe the couple was killed a few days earlier. Possible burglary incident. The 22-year-old suspect, Raymond Budarian, was arrested on double homicide charges. Believe the killings were random. People in their house just enjoying out. Next thing, dead. And you had other people talking about unsavory characters stalking people in the neighborhood. This crime thing is resonating because Democrats have unleashed with their policies waves of criminal, and with the culture, that the immorality that has now permeated the culture in certain communities that glorifies the street life, that glorifies murder, mayhem. And yet, Trump is the bad guy because he's trying to actually clean it up. Now, immigration. I got to get a few other things before we get out of here. This I love. We can't play it all. It's 4 minutes, but we're going to play some of it. Yes. This is cut 6, Carlos. Gotta love this.
The screws are tightening for undocumented immigrants. The Trump administration is dusting off a rarely used law to hit thousands of migrants with hefty fines. The president wants them to pay up and get out. Investigative reporter Hilda Gutierrez joins us now with the exclusive story. Hilda.
These civil lawsuits were filed by Justice Department attorneys just this week. They were looking to collect more than $300,000 combined from 2 Bay Area immigrants accused of staying in the country after a judge ordered their removal. But immigration attorneys argue the penalties are excessive and unconstitutional.
The notices from ICE showed up in June at a San Francisco apartment in the Mission and another in San Bruno. The letter stating 2 undocumented immigrants were being hit with hefty fines. The reason? For not leaving the country after a judge ordered their removal when they missed hearings in immigration court. One of them was given a deportation order in July of last year and now faces $300,000 in fines. The other missed their hearing this past March and owes more than $40,000.
So we are expecting to see a tsunami of people being penalized under these laws.
Merle Kahn is an attorney with the Immigrant Legal Resource Center in San Francisco.
That's enough. You got the drift. Yes, so now on top of everything else, the fines are coming out. Oh, you stayed past the order, the fines are coming. And, oh, by the way, got something here. I wonder if America's small caffeinated bomber is out. Yes, she's out here. I just got a text from her as I spoke her name. Mind meld. Caffeinated mom. Also, you, Princess Di, got a story for you. This story right here is going to make liberals' heads explode. So let me warn you, if you are a diehard liberal, you may want to sit down. This is not going to be good for you. I'm warning you. Got a new story. If you have not seen this yet, and I'm the first one to tell you this, if you are a committed liberal, a committed, crazed liberal, this is going to upset you unlike any other story that I've done today. It will upset you more. This will perhaps upset you more than any other story you've heard almost since the election night results were announced. Okay. What is the story? Here's the headline. This comes to us from CBS News. Trump says Department of Education will issue guidance about prayer in public schools. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. I am pleased to announce this morning that the Department of Education will soon issue new guidance protecting the right to prayer in our public schools, and it is total protection, the president said, to applause and cheers from attendees ahead of a meeting of the Justice Department's Religious Liberty Commission. Mr. Trump did not provide further details about what the hell is he... Oh, excuse me, I'm just embellishing what you know they want to say. Mr. Trump did not provide further details about what the new guidance will be. What the hell? We thought we got rid of that once and for all, allowing kids to pray. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's new guidance coming from the Trump administration. Children, American children, apparently, who choose to pray in public schools will have the right, their religious rights, protected. As I said, this is very, very highly inflammatory news for America's leftists, the committed leftists. We, on that happy note, for the rest of the sane people in America, will take a brief time out and return to you shortly on this, the fastest hour in American media. James Golden, Snerdley, don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Vice President Vance says there aren't plans to send in troops. Do you have concrete indication now that there are plans to do so?
Senator Duckworth.
Well, let's make it clear. The President of the United States essentially just declared war on a major city in his own nation. This is not normal, Margaret. This is not acceptable behavior. No, we don't have any indications of them getting ready to send troops into Chicago. In fact, I was out at Great Lakes base yesterday, Naval Training Base, and they were able to confirm that the only assistance they've been requested to provide is just office space for ICE, but that there are no barracks, no detention facilities, none of that is being requested or prepared in order to support troops into Chicago.
How you doing, sir? Can we talk to you? Where are you from? You live in New York?
Who are you?
Don Lemon.
You're a dude.
Thank you. So are you.
Yeah, oh, that's very nice of you
yeah,
to say.
nice to see you.
Except you've never heard anything I've had to say, and I've heard a whole bunch of what you've
I'm glad
had to
you
say.
watched me.
No, I don't.
Why?
But you just get clipped everywhere.
I know, but why don't you? You said you don't watch me, but yet you know who I am, and I get clipped.
Before I realized that CNN and MSNBC were full of shit, every once in a while I'd see
What do you watch?
talking. I watch all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, but why do you say CNN and MSNBC are full of shit?
Because they lie.
But about what? Be
Everything.
specific. What's everything?
Everything.
This case was so unbelievably
This is
weak
Glenn Beck
in the
with
first
Megyn
place.
Kelly.
She has her credibility
Talking about
is
E. Jean
nowhere
Carroll.
to be found. She is accused a babysitter's boyfriend, a dentist, a camp counselor, an unnamed college date, an unnamed boss, and CBS chief Les Moonves of either sexually sexually assaulting or raping her in the past. I mean, wow.
She's
That's
quite the target.
An awful lot of people. She's
Don't be alone in a room with E. Jean Carroll if you were a man.
Yes. We leave you today with Marvelous Marvin. The one and only Marvin Gaye started a 2-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts with this one. At the time, it was Motown's largest selling record ever. The single on this one sold 4 million copies. In 1973, 1974. James Golden here. We got to go. May God bless. Protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me. I do. Allowing me to be with you. We got to go. May God bless you, my friends. Till tomorrow, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?